Okay, welcome along to episode... Oh, I always have to ask.
We're on 18?
Episode 18.
Yeah, 18.
And we have some really special guests. We're recording this right after church on Sunday, so if you were with us on Sunday morning, you know who our friends are sitting here, but we've got the Spurlin crew with us. Jason and Audrey are here all the way from Portland just to do this podcast. That's the only reason that they're here. That's why they're here. So we're going to ask them all sorts of questions. Audrey is new to the Spurlin family, and so that happened in December of 2020. So we're going to talk about how they met and their ministry in the Sandy area, which is close to Portland. So we're going to talk all about what God's doing there. Some really cool stuff. So stick around for this episode. Okay, so I said we've got the Spurlins in the house all the way from Portland, Oregon, by way of, where did you fly into? By way of
DFW, then Shreveport.
Yeah, watch out. Okay, so
Wow.
they are here. Yeah, I know, and they
Efficiency.
that's it. Yeah, okay, maybe that's right. That's the way to Nacogdoches. So, glad you guys are here. You spent this Sunday morning with us, and we're in worship and share with our college kids what's going on. But for those that don't know, this will be important history. Jason's got some background here. So he grew up not far from Nacogdoches, right? And then came to SFA and then crossed paths with Fredonia Hill and then off to Oregon. Give us a quick version of how all that happened. So from Wascom, am I saying that right?
Yeah, the big town of
the big
Wascom.
town. That's right. To Nacogdoches and then off to Portland. How did all that happen?
Yeah, moved out to Wascom in, I think, 2009, so I was a sophomore in high school, and I heard about the BSM actually then because people were like, hey, whenever you go to school, go to the BSM, and I was like, well, I don't even know what that is, but okay. And so, graduated from high school and applied at different schools, but SFA was far enough from my parents to be independent, but close enough that I could go home and see the girlfriend at the time, so it was the best of both worlds. And so I went, and they said, do you remember I told you about the BSM? And I said, yeah. So I went, and I just fell in love with the people there. And then we did the progressive dinner, and and they said,
progressive dinner.
Yeah, they're like, we're not a church, find a local church. And so I found Fredonia Hill, and off and on, and I said it earlier, I wish I was more of a participant in the church, but I was more of a consumer. So that's where it all started, and I graduated in 2016, and I've been in Portland for 5 years now.
Wow. And somewhere along the way, you meet a Portland native.
Absolutely.
And fall in love and have a pandemic wedding. So
right.
Audrey, welcome along. We're glad you're here. We're really glad that you're part of his story now.
Thank you so much.
So how did that happen? How did you guys meet?
Yeah, go Audrey, you go first, and I'll just fill in the gaps.
That's right, because this story, you said you had different
perspectives, and I think hers is right. More accurate.
Wow.
Okay.
Yep. Thank you.
This is going to go down. I mean, that's recorded now. So
I have proof now.
Yeah,
that's
write that down.
This is great. So I'm a Portland native, grew up going to church. My dad is a pastor, so was really involved in church. Really normal part of our life was just prayer walking, kind of seeking the Lord's, will for our city. And so at the time I was on staff at the church that he pastored in Gresham, just a little east of Portland. And a friend of mine came to me and said, hey, there's this community college campus like 3 blocks from the church. We just really want to see the Lord move here. Do you want to come prayer walk this campus with me? And so we went, and it was a really meaningful time. There's about, I think, like 20,000, probably more students that attend every year. And so we went and prayer walked, and that was like in August when we started, and we ended up prayer walking every week for about a year. And we just said, Lord, bring somebody who is passionate about college students, passionate about discipling men and women to get to know you, and bring them from anywhere in the world, even from Texas. It doesn't matter.
Oh, was
just
that part of the prayer?
Anybody, even from Texas.
That's a part.
It genuinely was. And it came up multiple times over the course of the year, but anyway, the second school year came, and this random person showed up, I think at our church office or at church, and he said, hey, I'm the new campus pastor at Mount Hood Community College, and I'm from Texas.
No
And
way.
we were like, of course you are.
But
And,
I was imitating Portland as hard as I could. I had a fedora.
Yeah.
My beard was 10 months old, and it was like down like to my chest, and I
So you
wore
were
like
really trying.
really
Oh,
tight
yeah.
pants. Yeah, so I was like I was trying to embody everything that I thought Portland was.
And I really have in my memory, I thought he was wearing like a cowboy hat and cowboy boots. And Jason
Wow.
really thinks he didn't.
dispute
but
that to
I
this
think
day.
the Texas energy was probably just so much.
It was so
that
strong that he just had an aura of a.
I
of
think
a
so.
Well,
I-
it didn't-
cowboy hat.
It didn't help when people asked, "Where are you from?" I said, "The greatest country on earth." And he said, "Where's that?" I said, "Texas." And they said, "You're not going to last long here." And
Nice knowing you.
So I had to and so I'm like, and on the 8th day, God created Texas. And they're like, "That's not funny here." And so, but
Yeah. So when we met, I did not expect or know or think that it would be my future husband. But
Yeah.
from the first moment we met, I remember just thinking, this is a very refreshing person who is here to talk to people about the Lord and do whatever he can to leverage his life for the work of the Lord. And that was really awesome. So that was about it for me. Like, that's pretty cool. Lord, you answered our prayer. Great.
Yeah.
And so that's about it for me to begin, at least.
Yeah, so then I attend the church, and I told her dad to this day, I was trying to find a church out in the area, and man, I love Keith now, but at the moment, I was like, there's something, I was like, I want to find like the hipster young church plant, and maybe this wasn't it for me. And so I was like, well, and then the Lord just started to work that like, hey, you should, check this place out. So I started to go, and Audrey did announcements, and I was like, she's really articulate. And for my ministry position, I couldn't date, drink, smoke, get tattoos. I couldn't do any of those things as a missionary in this time.
There, I was gonna say. I'm sitting across from Jason right now. His left arm is completely covered in tattoos. So you either broke the rules or broke out. One of the two.
Yeah, eventually the rules ended. So,
okay, there you go.
Yeah,
so you went crazy.
Yeah, I had to make up for all last time. So I knew I couldn't date anyways, and so, but she was articulate and just passionate person. And then we went to the same Bible study, and one of the first conversations I remember having with her was singing the song about a piece of toast. And just saying, yeah, toast. And I was like, I'm compelled to be your friend. And so I was like, you're weird and quirky.
Was this like a VBS you're singing about toast?
You know, I did not think that you were going to add that part, but there's a hilarious YouTube video called Yeah Toast. And it's an animated song, and it's funny and weird. And
we could put the link in the notes for the show.
Yeah, can we do that? I don't know.
Yeah, we can figure something out.
Sure.
So we were kind of colleagues for the first year. And then after, during the second school year that Jason was here, we just had this great friend group, and it was kind of like real life friends. Me and my sister were roommates. We lived next door to our college best friend. Jason was around, and Jason just took care of the group. He always did the dishes at our house. He helped plan events, and that really caught my attention. So after about probably a year and a half or 2 years of being friends, Jason kind of sat me down and said, it's time.
It's time.
Yeah.
It's time to date.
I told her, I said, hey, I think we could be something special, and I think if you give me a chance, it could turn out to be cool. And we haven't looked back since.
Yeah.
So we dated for I think a year, year and a half, and then got engaged, and then got married during COVID. So
well, I love that. It sounds so cool that just the backstory of you praying for that campus, and earlier over lunch we were talking about just your heart for Portland and that being home in many ways for you, and the Lord obviously knitting your heart there. Mm-hmm. And then for you to be this total transplant, but then also to have your heart knit there, and that be kind of the foundation point.
Yeah.
That was your commonality at the very beginning, was just even for God to move in that local space. That's been pretty cool. And now that's part of your life. That's part of your life and ministry. What's that like doing ministry together? You're both in seminary.
Yep.
You're both getting that going and doing ministry together. How's that been as a husband and wife team?
Yeah, they say you're not supposed to change everything at once, and I wanted to challenge that thought.
That's right.
And got married, started a new job, and moved to a new place. So multiple things. No, but it's been good, and we've done ministry together before we're friends, and so it's not just starting up something new. It's just continuing what God has already done, and our love for each other is built on a deep friendship for each other and for the gospel. And so that was cool. And then in school, it helps because I'm like, what did we learn today?
Because going to say, I know how this goes.
What'd they say? Did you get that note written down? And so we were able to process together and share our notes. That was more one-sided. So that was really fun. And so we're both on our MDiv track. So,
wow. And how long? How much further to go?
A lifetime.
Lifetime learner. Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Very good.
Yeah, I'm on the 30-year track. No, I just started year 4, and I'm a third of the way done. So projected 12 to 15. Yeah. It feels like a prison sentence.
That's okay.
But
That's
I love
okay.
it. Yeah.
It took me a long time to go through it, and you just kind of keep going. Just keep swimming.
And it's fun because it's 1 or 2 classes, maybe 3 at a time. So you actually learn. You actually enjoy it.
Yes.
You don't hate your life. We don't resent the Bible or anything. Right. It's actually been super enriching, even though it's a long pace. So
I love that you said that, because I think just if anybody's listening that is considering doing that, I mean, really, I would say in any form of education, but particularly seminary, go at a pace where you soak it in.
Yeah.
I started out trying to, with a timeline in my mind, and it took me about a year to realize this is a bad idea. I may do fine in terms of grades or whatever, but I'm not really deeply soaking this in, and slowing down and taking a long time was the best decision. Now it was a prison sentence. I mean, it's a long time, but man, it's a total different thing when you can take the time and really soak it in, or at least soak in your wife's notes.
Yeah. I think that's so good. And I think, what's the end goal for seminary? Like intellectual assent, right. Like, are you just trying to like prove that you know a Greek word or this theological concept, or is it to be transformed by the class? And that's one thing we love about our professors is they're pastors, actually, like local pastors. And so they're like, this is our expectation academically, but how's your heart? And it's like, oh, cool. Like, more than just this essay I have to turn in. It's like, it's pastoral. And so that helps us for our ministry. So
yeah. And then also, where's your essay? Let's get to
yeah, exactly.
How's your heart? Where's your essay?
No late work.
That's right. Well, we would, I think we'd be missing something. There's a couple things I think we need to go over that are really important, and then we'll jump into the more trivial stuff about how God's changing lives and those.
Yeah, exactly.
But the really important stuff. So here
it comes.
Yeah,
I just know.
Right. This is for you, Todd
Kendall
Wright.
keeps looking over at me.
This is for Todd Wright.
Here it comes.
Now, the last episode, if you guys listen, 2 episodes ago, I'm sorry, with Todd Wright, it was totally lopsided. They had 2 sweet tea drinkers and 2 worship pastors against me. And I just want to say that I've got a team now. So I've got, I think, 2 coffee drinkers.
Absolutely.
2 non-worship pastors, which is...
And I'm not intimidated at all.
Then you're not. Blake's not shaking. So, no, but seriously, you live in like one of the coffee capitals of the world. You said earlier that there's just breweries and coffee shops in Portland. So you coffee drinkers, what's it like living in the coffee capital of the world?
Expensive.
Oh yeah. I bet.
So good though.
It's wonderful.
It's just like, where do you start? And through coffee, I've tasted and seen the goodness of God, through that. And so we're praying for the tea drinkers in here, laying hands on them as we speak. No, it's just good. And you get like weird lattes, like hibiscus with this spice of cardamom, whatever it is.
Oh, wow.
And it's just, you get to try things that you normally don't get sometimes. And there's a coffee shop in downtown that we went to. It's fully robotic. Which is really fascinating, and it does latte art for you, and it's like, Jason, your drink is ready. So it's like fully robotic, not a person there. It's like, this is the way of the future.
Wow.
Innovation.
Okay, I was gonna ask, like, what's the best coffee shop you've been to? If someone makes it to Portland, they want the best cup of coffee you could recommend, where would you send them? Would it be the robot shop, or is that just cool? Because
I think that's just cool. Okay, what about you, Audrey? You've lived there for way longer.
Yeah, let's hear from a native.
So we have some friends who like to visit from out of town, and we like to not judge, but maybe evaluate. And it's, you can have great coffee, but super unfriendly baristas, or you can have really creative coffee names and stuff. So it's really fun to think about the whole vibe. Yeah. Vibe really matters.
Okay.
It really matters. And so, gosh, I don't even know if I could pick a favorite. Never comes to my mind.
Yeah, so I think for lattes, Never, super solid.
Yeah.
They do seasonal lattes, always changing menu, never the same. For a drip or just something like a pour over, Good Coffee is great. It's called Good Coffee. It's just, there's a few locations, and it's just super solid. You don't need any sugar, no cream, just straight.
Boom. So for some of my friends that have been feeling the heat about their cream and sugar, maybe that would be a good place to start.
try,
If you wanted
yeah.
to convert to straight black coffee, then good coffee.
Good coffee.
In Portland would be a
coffee.
good starting point.
And
That's right.
we'll give our friend a shout out at Intent Roasting. He does his own roasting in Portland, Mark, and it's phenomenal. And they used to own a shop, but now they just do roasting and they serve the city.
And
So
you can sign up for a coffee club, so it mails to your door every month, and
So
it's
cool.
awesome.
free promo.
Yeah.
Yeah, I love that. Well,
Yeah,
and
it's
we
personal.
got to be I did. You didn't.
I'm-
But we got to be your wife did.
yeah,
Ashley,
actually-
there you go. But we got some of that
Yeah.
in Intent coffee, which is cool. We did a coffee exchange. We got them some Fredonia Hill mugs, and they gave us some cool
To drink
Portland
our
coffee.
Yeah.
But that's good. The other story we have to get to is your experience of now I don't know, maybe I'm wrong about this, but one of the sweet tea staples in Nacogdoches is Raising Cane's. A lot of people
go to Cane's for
sweet tea, right?
That's
I'm not
correct.
okay.
Yeah,
I
that's
wanna
what I
make
get
sure
when I go to
haven't-
Raising Cane's.
Well, yeah, that's where
They're
you
also
go.
known for their lemonade, but we're going to stick with the sweet tea.
Yeah, but that's what you
Yeah.
get when you go everywhere.
Right.
So, so sweet tea. So, but you have a really interesting. You're kind of a famous Raising Cane's guy.
I
and
am.
For Texas people that love Raising Cane's, particularly Nacogdoches, it's a hot spot. People love it here. I think we need to hear your Raising Cane's story.
Yeah, corporate knows me personally.
Raising Cane's corporate knows you personally.
Yeah.
Okay.
First name basis there.
First
name
name,
basis.
it's that guy again.
Yeah. Tell us the story. This is pretty funny.
Yeah, so being in Nac, it's always if you wanted the chicken sandwich, Chick-fil-A. If you wanted the chicken strips, Raising Cane's.
That's right.
Is that right? Would you agree
I
to
think
that?
that's still pretty.
Yeah,
normal.
or if you wanted Chick-fil-A on Sunday, you went to Raising Cane's.
Yeah, that's true. That's fair. That's fair. And so the story broke that Raising Cane's is coming downtown Portland, and
Is that a big deal?
that to
Jason.
everyone? No, to me, yes.
I was gonna say to our Portland native here is like, did it even make the news?
Everyone's like, raising what? No, Raisin Cane's.
Yeah, that's right. Raised
Yeah.
in. That's right.
Yeah, so I actually took I think some time off of work, and I was willing to be comped on that because it was important. And so I brought Audrey along, and people were like, "What's this Raising Cane?" I was like, "Don't come, not very good. Don't waste your time." It was all a lie. And so I get there, and it's in the mall, and there's like some people there, and you can sign your name up to enter in a raffle to win free chicken for a year. It's a box combo for $9.59. And then the reason why I know that because that's about $1,000 if you don't know how that much a chicken is. And so I did the math. And so they gave away 20 boxes of them. And I was like, Lord, if you're good and faithful, would you hear me? And they, number 11, they're like, Jason Spurlin. I was like, I knew it. And so I walked up there.
No, jumped up.
Oh, I jumped. Okay. And most people.
in the story I heard, you had a euphoric reaction. It was
I kinda blacked
inappropriate
out.
for the social setting.
Yeah, it was not very Portland to me.
Yeah.
Too much energy. I showed joy, and so and so I got free chicken, and shortly after that, about 6 weeks into my free chicken once a week, COVID happened, and I lamented, and so went out the mall shut down, and it shut down for a while, and I would always check just to be like, hey, how are you doing, mall? How are you doing? Are you going to open up soon? And so Raising Cane's opened up about probably 3 months ago, and so they're opened up again. So I emailed corporate. I hope you made it through COVID. I love you and I love your chicken, but can I get some free chicken again? And they said, yeah, we'll upload your card. So I go into Raising Cane's. I said, here's my card. I'd like the free chicken. They said, this is new management. We don't honor that.
No.
I said, I've talked to corporate.
You don't know who I
You
know.
don't know me. I'm in with corporate. And so they're like, all right, we apologize. We'll give you free chicken for this one time. I said, good. And I emailed corporate again. I said, hey, I went and you made me look like an idiot. And like, not
It's
cool.
Jason here.
It's Jason, an investor into this company.
Your neighborhood, Portland.
Yeah, your sole customer in Portland. And they apologized, and they said, for sure you have chicken on your card now. So I have 20 weeks left. I go every Friday part of my Sabbath. I sub the coleslaw, extra sauce, butter both sides, two bread, Texas toast. And so with the discount, I pay 78 cents every time in change because I'm classy. and then I get a Diet Coke to go with it. So
You know, it's interesting that you sub the coleslaw. I do the same thing. I get double fries. So
oh, that's good.
no coleslaw, double fries, and then add a sauce to it.
I've been going so much. Someone gave me a suggestion. You should make a homemade sandwich. So I get 2 pieces of bread, and I make a cane sandwich, and it's. So I'm an
That's
innovator.
a Cane's hack right there.
Cane's secrets right now.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's every Friday. I think I pay over $10 in parking, but it's still quote free chicken. So I do it. So I love it. Yeah.
Wow. That's, I mean, it's not very often where we get to sit down with a Cane's celebrity. So
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
right.
I just wanted to appreciate that moment.
Honored to be here.
And Cane's is a staple in Nacogdoches. And
Oh,
so
yeah,
if
yeah.
Jason
Very
is
popular
that
spot.
high up in the Cane's hierarchy, we needed to talk about it. So
It is nice whenever there's somebody from the South or Texas that Jason runs into. Jason will be like, I get free Canes.
it's like a
And
thing you say.
they are like, wow. I mean, it's pretty cool to see people's
Facebook
reaction.
erupted when I won. Like I was
Yeah.
the champion of the people. Like I stuck it to the corporation, and they're like, he made it. And so that's my claim to fame.
Yeah.
Is so after
We're
my
very
card is
proud.
done, I'll frame it probably.
yeah.
It's just
I
it's
hope
an
you
idol
get
in
to
my
keep
life.
it. I hope it's not one of those deals where they just on your 20th purchase they take the card.
Yeah, I would cry and just
Yeah.
rip my clothes and lament.
Oh man, that's awesome. Well, okay, so we've got to get into some of the stuff that God is doing because it's just amazing. And I think it was cool this morning. Again, I'm referencing our service this morning. So if you were there, you heard Jason talk about kind of the narrative that we all see from way afar and what's in news media and stuff like that. And so people kind of have in their mind, here's what Portland is and here's what's going on. But the narrative that you don't hear about, the things that are really significant and really going on, is that God's on the move, and you guys have seen some extraordinary things and lives being changed. And this goes back, we've had conversations when you were doing college ministry.
Yeah,
I mean, going to a campus where there was no such thing, and it being formed, and then leaders being raised up, and I mean, this goes back now for the 5 years that you've been there. You've experienced this, and now you guys are both experiencing it together. So, I don't know. This is a hard question, but can you give us kind of some boots on the ground sort of perspective about what you're seeing God do and how that's taking place? And I don't know, what's going on there.
Yeah. It was just, Audrey has a really cool perspective because most people in Portland move to Portland for some reason. Most of the time they move to Portland because they're trying to outrun something, trauma, religion, whatever it may be. And so they come with brokenness. But Audrey has been grounded in biblical Christianity, and she's been born and raised in the area. Yeah. And so she has a really unique perspective on just how God has always been at work there.
Yeah.
And I remember when I was moving originally, I had this almost audacity in my ignorance to be like, I'm taking the gospel, or I'm taking the kingdom. Right. And it's like, God's like, I've been to Portland way before you be here, and I'll be in Portland way after you leave. Yeah. And so that's been humbling to see that I'm not the cornerstone of the church in Portland. And, but yeah, I've been there 5 years, and it's been incredible. I was doing the math the other day, just kind of reflecting back on it. And I think I've seen about 30 people come to faith, from kids, college students, adults, just like life transformation. And it's messy, it's dirty, but it's beautiful justification and the whole process of becoming like Jesus. So that has just been beautiful. Walking with people in the mess of humanity has been really humbling. And this last year as a church, as our church at Pathway, we've seen 11 people come to faith and 27 people be baptized. That's amazing. If that doesn't fire you up. And so the narrative that Portland is broken, it is. Every city's broken.
Right, yeah.
But the kingdom of God is here, and it is moving, and it is coming into Portland with or without us, and God just allows us to be a part of it.
Yeah, that's cool. Yeah, what is your perspective like? I mean, like he said, you've been there, grown up there your whole life, and to see God doing what he's doing and to be part of that in a place that's home, that's got to be, I mean, that's kind of Blake's perspective. He gets to do part of ministry in a place that's home. That's got to be pretty cool.
Yeah, I think it's been a journey. Kind of everyone has probably a tumultuous relationship with their hometown. There was that growing up, I got to get out, went away to school. And when I was away, I felt such a strong urge from the Lord to come back to our people, who we just spent all of high school praying for and loving, and being able to come back and kind of realize some of the maybe cultural things where the gospel can intercede there. I think that optimism is not necessarily a supernatural trait of people just in the Northwest. I don't know if it's because it's cloudy and rainy or what it is, but one thing that makes the gospel really stand out is the unbreakable joy that God brings us and a life of abundance. You know, Jesus said, I've come so that you may have life and life abundantly. And Portland's brokenness over the last maybe year and a half on the news is just an expression of what we all once were inside, you know, and being able to see Portland as just a reflection of ourselves has really helped us feel a little less, we're bringing the gospel to you. But how do we love our neighbor? I mean, when we were in Portland, we tried to meet our neighbors when we moved, and we brought some cookies and we would knock on the door to say, hi, we're your neighbors. And there would be people looking through the window at us, not coming to the door and just not coming. And we were like, but we want to be your friend, you know? And so I think especially in the last year and a half, that viewpoint of we were all broken one time helps us remember how much we need the Lord so much. And people really value authenticity and can smell it from a mile away if you're there with an agenda. And that makes it complicated because we want to go and ask people if they know the plan of salvation. And that can absolutely work sometimes, but people have such a need to know that they are so loved and made on purpose and known. And that's something Jason says every message: you are loved, you are valued, and you are seen. And that every single week, I think people come up to Jason and say, that is what I needed to hear today. People fighting for their identity, fighting to be known. And for us to say, God knows you, is really powerful. So I was going to say maybe a quick story about one of the women who started coming right when we started coming, and just said, I just wanted to get serious about God, and God was always very distant to me. It was just something that I went to church occasionally, but I came into this church and I felt loved and I felt known. And that is what people are so desperate to hear. I don't think that is specific to Portland or Sandy necessarily, but how grateful are we that someone would come into our church on a Sunday and feel that way. We're grateful.
Yeah. I think it's one thing that I've learned over the years is I know the gospel. I can share that, but do I know the name of the person I'm sharing the gospel to? Because the contextualization is so important. And what stands out to someone about the gospel may not be relevant in this person's life. So I know the gospel, but do I know who I'm sharing the gospel to? And I think when it turns out loving your neighbor isn't quantifiable, you can't do A plus B equals that C. It's messy. It's hard. And when we look at the Gospels, Jesus knew who he was talking to. He knew what he was calling them to. And so that's been messier because it doesn't fit into a box of what ministry or to love Jesus looks like. So I think it's like, who are you talking to? What's their story? Where are their hurts? Where do they need to be healed? So,
and it seems like it's so cool to hear this. And I hope anybody that's been around our church and has been involved in some of our community outreach stuff, you know, these are some of the very same principles that we're trying to operate on in this neighborhood, in the Bible Belt, where everybody quote unquote knows Jesus and whatever. Relationships still matter. And people can tell when you're in a hurry because they're a project and you need to check off the box or check the boxes of this is what I'm supposed to tell you. And they know, like you said, they can smell authenticity a mile away or inauthentic, whatever that word would be. But you're so right about that. And you just can't be in a hurry. Relationships are messy and take time, but in the end, that's the fertile ground where the gospel really grows and can even be shared because they know that you care about them and they can trust you enough to say life-changing things. So I love that. It's the same. I hope people hear that. It's the same in Portland as it is here in Nacogdoches. Trust and relationships and authenticity. And that's so cool. I was a story I wanted you to tell that I just remember really sticking out to me from your newsletters. And which, by the way, real how do they, this is like on the spot, but how do people, if they want to hear what's going on, how do people hear that?
Yeah. So you could, I guess, connect with us on social media, on Instagram, and then I can hook you up to our newsletter, and we send that out every month. Or they can get in contact with y'all, and then you can connect them with us
Well, I say that
Yeah.
because so write us. You've got our email.
Yeah.
Contact the church.
we'll put all that in the
and we'll put all that in the show notes. But okay, I don't know. This has been a couple of months back, I think. And they're so well written. I don't know. You guys do a great job on those. They're really great. You're good storytellers. But there was you did an evangelism class, and so you're teaching evangelism, and somebody that's taking the class ends up coming to Christ.
Yeah, it was crazy.
What a cool story. Can you tell that story?
Yeah. Talk
Okay.
about turning that report in to your supervisor. Be like, is the evangelism class working? Yeah, someone actually came to
I
faith
think so.
during the class. So I would say evangelism works. Yeah, that was nuts. I was tasked to create a 4-week evangelism class, and you're like, well, how do I do so much content in that? And so I brought different tools for the toolkit, so you feel well equipped. And so we're working through it's called the 3 circles, and it kind of takes you through creation into the fall, and then to reconciliation with God. And so we're doing this whole thing, and we're working through it. And the lady sat on the front left of me and just kind of taking it in, and the lady to the right of her is like helping her flip through her Bible and find the passages that I'm talking about. And she comes up to me and was like, I just need to talk. And I was like, okay, yeah, what's up? And so she just is like, I'm so lost about what you're talking about so much. And she's like, I just grew up in an atheist household. And so I was like, well, let's talk about that. And so it was time for me to put what I was teaching into practice. So I just turned around and said, well, what circle do you fall in? And she said, well, I fall in that brokenness. And I said, well, let's talk about it. And so she started to just talk about some of her brokenness. I said, well, it's stopping you from finding healing in Jesus, like to the reconciliation. She goes, well, I'm afraid. And so we just talked through that fear and some of that. And I was like, what would stop you in this moment from walking through that threshold and just following Jesus? And she goes, nothing. And so I was like, okay, well, let me just read some scripture over you. And so we did. And it turns out the lady that came with her knew she wasn't a believer and has been praying for her for over 20 something years that she would come to faith. Cool. And so she has tears in her eyes because she's been faithfully praying for this woman to come to faith. And so I brought the lady who's been praying for her over. We read scripture together and led her to the Lord right there. And then a few weeks later, we baptized her. And she is like the first follower in her of Jesus in her family at the age of 40 something, and it's incredible.
That is amazing. I love that story. Yeah, I don't know, that's been a few months ago, I guess, that happened, and that just captured my heart. Just what a cool.
I will say it changed my expectation for every class after that. I was like, how many more people coming to faith today?
That's right.
But actually, real quick, this is really cool because right after that class ended, a guy about 3 weeks later called me and he says, and this guy is just tears in his voice and you can hear it shaking. He goes, because of your class, I started to share my faith at work and I just led a man to the Lord in my garage shop. And I was like, are you kidding me? And so he's like, I just feel so empowered and equipped and I have the tool set now. And so he led a man to the Lord and now he's sharing the faith again with another customer who's close to the Lord, like coming to faith. And so it's just the fruit of this is just way beyond me and my capability. It's just the faithfulness of the Lord to work in the life of these people. Wow. So it's really cool.
That is amazing. Wow. And so many stories just like this. I mean, like I said, your newsletters have been amazing to read. It's so cool to hear what God is up to. And even thinking about, we were laughing just thinking back even on your story, just how it all began. And you know, it stood up, you'd stand up and do announcements at 24/7 in our college worship deal. And then just to see how the Lord has gotten a hold of your life and did then and had a plan then and was working to this point and then bringing you two together. That is so cool. So again, if you want to hear more of their story, reach out to us and you can reach us on our email at
stc@fredoniahill.org.
That's the email. And then you can also, if you jump on our church website, want to contact any of us directly, you can sure do that. You can find our emails there.
Yeah, we'll get you connected.
And we can put you in touch with the Spurlins, and they are little plug for you guys. So your salaries are mostly fundraised, and so you're leaning on the support of others. And so if you even want to be part of that, you can certainly reach out to us, and we can get you connected with the Spurlins on how to give, and we can help facilitate that just to continue to support them and what God's doing. We've had the blessing of being able to do that for 2.5 years,
Yeah.
2 years,
Yeah,
as a church, and so happy to be able to partner with that. So anyway, if you're interested, let us know. And but man, thank you guys for coming all the way from Portland to do this podcast.
Yeah.
That's really, really special.
It was the least we could do.
I know.
The furthest traveled guest that we've ever had.
That's right. So someone's got to beat Portland.
Yeah.
But and when do you go back? Audrey, are you about to go back?
I go back tomorrow night.
Which would be Monday
night.
Monday,
Yeah.
and then
And
I'll be here for another week, and so I'd love to connect with people while I'm here. So.
yeah, this will come out. You'll already be gone.
Yeah, probably so.
I think.
It'll be
Sorry,
check.
friends.
in about a week
Just
from now.
kidding.
Yeah.
Jason won't meet with you.
We'll
Hope you
see
had
you
your-
on social media.
had your
Yeah,
chance.
I'll see you next time.
But seriously, we will put notes, and you can follow them on social media, and then get in touch with them if you want. And we hope that as you continue to come back to Texas, as often as you do, that you can stop by, and we'll be able to keep up with the journey. So we're pumped to see what God's going to do.
For sure.
with you
Absolutely.
guys. So
Yeah, thank y'all so much. This is like a home for us, and we're able
Yeah.
to be on the field because of churches and people like y'all. So we wouldn't be here without you. So we appreciate it.
that's
Bet.
cool. That's cool. All right, friends. Well, thanks for listening. You know how to get in touch with us. We've already given the email,
Yeah.
and
I'm not going to say it again.
He's not going to say it again. So I think that's all. We will see you guys down the road.
Adios.